Welcome to Watch It Real from Real Central New Jersey Soccer. I'm Ira Jersey, the general manager of the men's program at Real Central New Jersey Soccer. And with me today is our assistant coach and the head coach of our U17 program, Carlos Figueroa. Carlos, thanks for coming on Watch It Real.
Thank you for having me, Ira. Thank you very much for having me in your program.
So let's start with the basics. So you're local. So how did you come up playing soccer? When did you start, and where did you start playing?
It's funny you asking that question because when I was I was born in Guatemala. So when I was in Guatemala, I was a horrible soccer player. So basically, I had to quit because I couldn't score goals. So when I came to the States, that's when I was playing on a park and I fell in love with the game again, and I landed in Princeton, New Jersey, and ever since then, I started playing soccer for JW and fell in love with the game.
So talk to us about, playing in Princeton. So you played for a club or two in Princeton, is that right, before high school?
My first club in the United States was Princeton Packet. It belonged to the PSA, Princeton Soccer Association. And the guy that used to run that program, his name was Deb Debstra. And like I say, I was playing at a park, and he saw me. He approached me, and it was funny because he was talking to me, and I was just looking at his face. Goes, I didn't speak English, and he thought I was like getting what he's saying, and I was like, yes, yes, yes. So 10 minutes later, I'll find out I was on a soccer team.
So good scouting still works, obviously, because then you go on to play in high school, right? And you went to Princeton High School, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So
yes.
talk about playing in high school. Like how did you integrate into that team while you were in high school?
It was a great experience because the team that we had at Princeton High School was a varsity team. That's when the Latino immigration started to come to Princeton. So it was a lot of Guatemalans and Mexicans that we played every day at the park, community park. And after that, that's when we started playing for the high school. And when we tried out, there was a couple of Spanish guys with, a couple of American kids. And I believe we had Asian American, if I'm not mistaken. But it was a great experience for me because, like I say, that's when I started falling in love with the game, and ever since then, I haven't stopped.
So talk about so you were selected as an All-American at one point. What was that like, and were you expecting it? Like what was that process like back 25 years ago when this all happened? Not to date you or anything, but.
I'm not mentioning the year though, but it was a great experience, because to be honest with you, I didn't know what an All-American was. When I got the news, I was excited because, one of the best players in the country. So it was an honor for me, and it was a great experience. High school, like I say, that's why Princeton High School has a place in my heart because, they gave me the opportunity to, show my skills.
Talk to us very briefly about your time then playing in college and then coaching, and then tell us a little bit about what you do now.
Well, actually, after high school, after we won a state championship, I got to brag about that. First ever for Princeton High School. So after we won the championship, my following year, I was supposed to go to Mercer County Community College. I played for Charlie Inverso. Unfortunately, I didn't have the chance to play at Mercer. So I stopped playing soccer for a little bit. That's when I met my family, my wife. I'm sorry, and started our family early. And I started, I had to start working after my Mercer County Community College years. So I was gone for soccer for a little bit until I got in touch with one of my former teammates, and I started, coaching youth soccer. I would say 5 years after that.
So then, so now you're coaching at the King's College up in New York. So talk to us a little bit about your coaching journey and pathway, and now coaching at the collegiate level.
Like I say, I started with the youth system. I started as an assistant coach. I was there for like about 2 years. Then I went to the Pennington School to be an assistant coach for high school. I was there for like about 5 years, learning from the head coach there. Um, Lasted for 5 years at Pennington. Then after Pennington, I went to Bucks County Community College as an assistant. I was there for 2 years, and it was the game was different. You can tell from high school and college. To me, I believe college soccer is more physical. And then from Bucks County, I went to Farley Dickinson, D3. I was there for a year as an assistant coach. And I loved it. Unfortunately, the coach that hired me, he was let go, so we had to go through the interview process. And then I was fortunate to get the opportunity at King's College, and then I took that job, and I'm there ever since last year.
Excellent. So let's just talk very quickly about the U17 program that we're starting. So one of the nice features about being part of USL is that they have started the USL Academy program, and one of the first things that they did was start the USL Academy Cup, which is a youth tournament. It's a showcase tournament down in Florida for both U13 and U17 teams. So we named you our head coach of our U17 program for next year. Talk to us a little bit about what you and Coach Patrick, as the head coach, how you guys intend to play, and what kind of things are you going to look for in players as we get toward tryouts, hopefully in about a month's time.
Well, to be honest with you, I had this conversation with Coach Pat, and like I told him, when he interviewed me for an assistant coach position, I told him, Pat, because I know him since I was in high school, and I told him, straight up, I was like, Pat, I'm Spanish, I don't like to run, so I'm more like a possession guy. I like possession, possession, possession. I hate to defend, so basically, I base my teams in offensive. I used to be a striker, so I like to attack a lot. This opportunity that you guys are giving me with the U17, we want to give them that total package, as I call it. Get them technical, tactical, and possession.
Excellent. So I'm going to invite a special guest that we have with us today, and we're going to talk with Elma N'For, who is an attacker, I guess I could call you, Elma, for Union Omaha this year. So for those of you who don't know, I have another podcast called League One Fun, where we watch the third division of USL in League One. And my favorite interview from last year was with Elma, who had played at the time with Lansing Ignite. He now plays out in Omaha, and we'll get into some of this a little bit later. But obviously, path to pro is a big thing for us here at Watch It Real, since we're talking about that pathway. So, Elma, I want to talk to you a little bit about first, what was it like playing in college? So you played it was a D2 school, if memory serves, and then playing for Asheville in the summer for I guess back then it was the PDL, but effectively now it's USL League Two.
Yeah. So at the time, I think it was called the NPSL when I played with them. But first and foremost, thank you for having me. I definitely appreciate the opportunity to share my journey with everyone. But I went to Wingate University, which is a small Division II school in North Carolina. And the play there was spectacular. I mean, we had a lot of internationals. We had a lot of guys from England, a few guys from Spain. We had guys from all over the map. So the football there was actually quite exquisite, and it shows because we won a national championship there. But making that move from college to NPSL, there wasn't. The only difference that I noticed was some of the guys in NPSL were just kind of there to have fun, while some were there to move on to the next level. So I would say that was one of the major differences that I noticed between the college level, where you're kind of together for maybe it's 3 years, 4 years, however many years, and then NPSL, where it's a summer thing. You just kind of show up, play for the summer, and then you're out. So that's one of the biggest differences I noticed. But then making the move from NPSL to Lansing Ignite was out.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
you have an absolutely fascinating story about how you ended up in Lansing because you spent preseason in the Carolinas, is that correct? And
yeah.
then somehow or another you ended up in Michigan, which they're not close together. So how did can you tell everyone how that happened? And then we definitely want to get into your professional playing career a little bit.
Oh yes, of course. So at the time, I was working as a coach in Asheville because I finished playing with Asheville City over the summer. I called my mom and told her, well, I don't really have a team. I haven't heard from any coaches, so I'm just gonna get an apartment here and go to open tryouts. And I attended one in Nashville, one in Louisville. Those were not successful. And then I went to an open tryout in Charlotte, and I think there was 150 players when I showed up. It was a 2-day tryout, and I think I touched the ball 3 times the first day, and the second day that I was invited back, I did a lot better. But the main reason why I was brought back, and this could be beneficial to your viewers, is just the movements off the ball that I was making. That's one of the reasons that I was brought back. So after I was invited into preseason, I stayed with them for about a month. Went to all the preseason games. I actually scored. I did well in every game. And then that time came after one of our preseason games. The coaching staff said, "We're gonna stick around if anybody wants to have a chat." But just the way they said it, you could feel like it was that time. So we went in one by one, and they gave us the. Some guys came out not too happy. Some guys came out optimistic, but I was the very last person to go. And I remember them saying, "Well, Elma, we like you. We think you're talented. You're just the player we're looking for. Unfortunately, we just signed Dominic Odoro." And sometimes that's just the way it goes. But
Oh, so you went from there, and how did you then end up in Lansing, Michigan, for the inaugural season of USL League One?
well, as soon as they told me they weren't able to sign me, the last thing I remember expressing to them was, if you have an email address, anything of any coach in the country, please share it with me. I will gladly reach out to them. But I think the assistant there at the time knew Nate Miller in Lansing. And so I think the next day I received a message from Nate saying, "We're looking for a striker who can play with their back to goal, make runs in behind." And I was like, "You're describing me to a T." So I drove up to Michigan, I think that the following day, 12 hours. So, and the rest is history, as they say.
So how do you get out of a car and then the next thing you know you're basically trying out for a soccer team, right? And with Nate Miller, who now Nate's out in California, right? He's working with Landon Donovan down at San Diego Loyal. Have you kept in touch with Coach Nate since the Lansing Ignite folded?
We've actually spoken several times, and Toomey is there as well. And Toomey was our midfielder, one of our
Yeah.
standout players. So Toomey's there as well. So we keep constant communication. But with having Joel here with me, who was our assistant at Lansing, that connection is always there, and it's always open.
Great. So now you're with Union Omaha, who is a brand new team this season in USL League One.
Hmm.
You're playing. You've played your second match just on the weekend.
Yeah.
How is it? So you're with two brand new teams. So is there? What have you seen as the big differences between the two teams, and what should we make sure that we do right and make sure that we don't do wrong for our team as we start up?
In terms of differences between the two, I would say Lansing. I feel like Lansing was just a little bit more rushed. I feel Union Omaha. They really. This is something that has been they've been waiting for a long time. They've planned for it for a long time. I feel like in Lansing the same process kind of happened, but I think that final piece from I guess getting the final little details situated to when we started play, I think it was too close. So there were a couple of things that were rushed. And Jeremy Sampson is my agent, and he was the GM at Lansing last season. So he kind of let me know personally that there were some things that were rushed in terms of like the field and things like that. And Jeremy's someone who's very detail oriented, so um, for those things to be rushed, I knew they wanted to get a product out on the field quickly. But I think with Union Omaha, everything, especially with COVID pushing everything back, it's actually given the club more time to really get the word out, really make sure the field is 100%, really make sure everything is together. So
One of your teammates happened to have gone to high school very close to us. So Carlos Figueroa, he's on with us. He's the assistant coach for our USL League Two team and going to be our head coach for our U17. So Carlos has a question for you, I think, at least one, if not more.
all right.
First of all, I would like to congratulate you for your first win, making history yesterday. I mean, first win for the
Woohoo.
franchise. I mean,
Thank you.
they're not going to take that away from you guys. First win ever for a new franchise. That's history.
Yeah.
The question that I have for you, and just to show you guys how little, and how small the soccer world is, I just want to know how Ethan Decker is as a teammate.
So Carlos,
Ethan.
you have to explain why. Carlos, you
Oh,
have to explain why you know Ethan Decker. Why did you
yeah,
throw out that name?
I'm sorry. Yeah, the reason why I ask that question is because in high school, in Pennington School, I used to be
Hmm.
an assistant coach. So Ethan went to school there, and I used to coach
Yeah.
him. So I know how he is, but I want to get a different perspective from somebody else to see if if he got better or worse.
Wow. That's a phenomenal question. Ethan is, wow. Ethan is a special player for many reasons. Clearly, the things that he does on the field, like the pass that he had in our last game, was that's unreal. But the thing is, he does that
We're
every
gonna get
day.
into that. So in just a minute.
Oh, okay, good, good. Well, Ethan actually sits right next to me. My locker is right next to him, and Evan Conway's on the other side of me. So Ethan's constantly cracking jokes. He's someone who he, he he's he's very lighthearted in the locker room, but on the field, oh my goodness, he demands a lot from the people around him. He demands a lot of himself, and when he misses a shot or misses a chance, you don't have to tell him that. He knows, and he'll let you know that he knows. So, yeah, Ethan's an interesting person to have around for sure.
Well, so I'd like to show you something since you brought up Ethan's past. So this is your match from Saturday night. This is out in Union in Omaha, where you guys play in a baseball field. So maybe you're destined to only play with teams that play on baseball fields like Lansing and now Union Omaha. I don't know,
Maybe.
but that guy who's about to kick the ball is you. So
Mm-hmm.
you get the ball around midfield, and did you know that Ethan was on the wing making that run? I mean, you must have, right? Just because of what happens directly after this moment.
Ethan has a very distinct voice, and as soon as I took the first touch, I heard him call for it. So it was easy to just like dink one out there to
Well, you definitely dinked it. I mean,
him.
it was as perfect a pass as you could get, right? And he gets the ball around the touchline and finds himself in a little bit of space, one on one. And then who's this guy zooming into the field? I mean, you must have gone on your horse because you've just gone in those 3 or 4 seconds. You've gone from the center line just about to the top of the 18. So good on you for having those wheels, man.
Thank you very much. And in the last game against New England, I actually made the same exact run, but the ball was with Evan on the opposite side. And I've been coming off the bench, which my time in the NPSL kind of helped me get through my time on the bench here because I had a time frame in the NPSL where I wasn't really playing as much. So I kind of learned how to be someone who felt like they were a big presence in the locker room, but not play at the same time. So I think at that time, it was a tough moment, but now being someone who's coming off the bench, My only, and I said this to the guys on the bench, I said, I want to change the game. I want to score. I want to change the game. I want to score. Those were the only two things I kept saying over and over. And I remember the coach was telling me set pieces, but the only thing I was thinking about is I want to change the game. I want to score. So as soon as I played that ball to Ethan, I actually started pointing to where I wanted him to play the ball because I knew I was gonna get in that area. I just needed the ball to get there, and what a ball from Ethan!
Well, this is something we have to say too. So it had downpoured. The game was actually delayed for about 45 minutes to an hour, and because it had absolutely poured thanks to a thunderstorm. So the field was pretty wet, right? It clearly was a little damp out there, right?
Yeah,
So this ball comes through, and there you are, literally half a step away from the ball, and you you go sliding into where home base would be, or pretty close to it.
yeah.
So you scored a run here, I guess.
I did. I did. I was safe.
But so Ethan Conway scores the very first goal for Union Omaha. You got, if this was a Major League Soccer game, you would have gotten the secondary assist for that. By the way, I don't know if you know
Really?
that, but that definitely a key pass there for you.
All right, let's go. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you guys work on those kind of plays regularly, like, attacking 3v3? Because basically that's what you were talking about, right? You got the ball in your midfield. There were two center backs back, and then it looks like the left. I guess it would be their right back, I guess, was supposed to be covering Evan. So how often do you go work on those kind of quick transitions and breakaways that you were able to do that? What looked pretty seamless.
Well, a lot of our training is a lot of short games, a lot of interval training, a lot of transition games, things like that. So we haven't necessarily worked on that sequence per se, but I'm someone I like to play with my back to goal. So when I was going in, Joel said to me, just, get your back to goal. That's what you're good at. Hold the ball for us and do what you do, basically. So as that ball came in, I think it came from Devin to me. I took the touch, I played it to Ethan, and the rest just kind of happened automatically. But it's the constant repetition of being around each other, training with each other every day, just knowing what runs we're gonna make and things like that. It just, as soon as I took a touch, it just kind of played out that way.
So, I don't know if Carlos has another question, but just to kind of finish up my questions here, when you guys you're playing a short season this year, which is not going to be dissimilar to what we're going to do with USL League Two. With such a short season, obviously points are at a premium. How much are you guys talking about what you're going to do during your home games and then maybe your away games where you might have a few less people travel because of COVID and you might have a smaller bench? I mean, are you thinking about playing a little bit more defensively on the road and more attacking at home like you did against North Texas, or what's the game plan for you guys at Omaha?
Well, our coach made it pretty clear to us that we're going for 3 points in every game. And we're not one of those teams to go on the road and change the way we play just because we're on the road. We want to respect whatever team we're playing, but at the same time, we have the players to go to any environment and implement our playing style and dictate the flow of the game and make them have to adjust to the way we play. But I think playing at home, I know playing at home is just a whole different animal. As you can see, having a brand new team, taking on last season's champions in our home opener, just the energy, the way we pressed, the way we covered each other, the way guys were blocking shots, putting their bodies on the line, that's something that our coach emphasizes every training, every film session, every practice, everything. So,
and before Carlos jumps in here, let me just ask you a little bit about the tactics of this game, just since A lot of people who are on this show might not have watched that match and aren't necessarily big USL League One people. But North Texas is the second team for FC Dallas. They tend to control the ball a lot and tend to pass. In fact, the goal that their coach has is for them to make 600 passes per match. Their first match of the season, they did 622. You guys disrupted that in a big way, and with a relatively high press. Was that something going in that you guys had game plan for, or is that just your style of play that you guys are always going to press as much as you can?
Going in, Coach expressed to us that he wants us to have a line of confrontation, especially playing with two strikers. But I think as the game went on, the guys got, we got more confident. We understood that they're kind of playing our game more. So we were more willing to push up. And it all comes from our keeper, Rashid, to our back line, to our mids, to our strikers. So when I got on, most of the commands that I was hearing from behind me, it was effortless for me to, stay high or to drop back whenever I heard it from Tyler or Devin or JP or whomever. Just because as the game went on, I think we wanted to impose more of ourselves on the game, especially being at home, home opener, sold out crowd, things like that. We had to put all that into consideration, but we necessarily didn't have it drawn out to, press them that high, but, they were very confident playing out of the back, no matter how high we started our line. So we thought we...
Uh-oh. We may have lost you, Elma. Well, so Carlos, you were about to ask a question. So what were you going to ask? Oh,
at least.
Back.
Elma, you back?
Did I go off a little bit?
Yeah, you went off there just for a second. So we'll finish up in just a second because our assistant coach Carlos has one last question for you.
Yeah, Elma, the question that I would like to ask you, and maybe you can help me out. Especially, I know we got a couple audience, young kids out there that they want to they probably want to play professional. What would you tell them? Mm-hmm. Like, what's the key to make it to the pros?
Oh, we may have. So Elma, the question was, what do you think the key to make it to the pro ranks is?
I'm sorry, we keep cutting out. Could you ask that one more time?
Yeah. So Carlos was asking, what do you think is the key for making it to the professional ranks? Because we might have some young kids who are thinking about maybe having a professional career.
Hello.
Oh, I think we're gonna have to miss that one. Elma, I'm just going to say thank you since we seem to be having some internet issues here. Thanks very much for coming on Watch It Real. And Carlos, thank you very much for coming on Watch It Real. Really, I appreciate it, and I look forward to having you back on as we, get through this process of building the team.
Thank you so much for having me, and yes, I'd be glad to do that again.